kickstart to your weekend. Saturday breakfast with Justin Dealey.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Just gone 10 minutes past 7 in the morning. Now then, 360,000 people have been forced to move out of their homes in the last year because of neighbours from hell. A very worrying survey that's out today. Well, Nigel Parsons is from the Answers Investigation. Now, they're a private detective agency which checks out potential neighbours for people a bit like you. And they do have an office in Watford. Nigel, a very good morning to you.
Oh, good morning, Justin. Well,
so, does this report surprise you?
I just did the maths on that. That's 1,000 a day.
It's a lot of people, I know. 360,000 people in the last year have been forced out because of neighbours from hell, which is great news for you, because you, of course, are a private investigator.
Yeah, I work as a PR for Answers Investigation, but while we investigate a lot of corporate and private issues over the last 10 years, we've run this neighbours service, which is just basically using our skills to give people an idea who are moving house as to what the neighbourhood is really like.
See, it's a fascinating idea, because I could walk out later on today and I could go into an estate agent and I could say, I'm looking for a really nice property in Luton. I could walk into that property, it could be absolutely fantastic, I love it to bits, but the one thing you don't know about is your neighbours. Now, the property could be as nice as you want, but if you've got the neighbours from hell, that is going to be a poor investment for you and your family.
Yeah, it's often a little bit of a different issue when the pubs have closed on a Friday evening. I mean, yeah, what looks nice when I do it during the day, and you've got all that lovely fresh coffee wafting through with the estate agent, and just sometimes there's a bit of a different picture in different times of the week. You know, like
so how does this work for you then, Nigel? Do you quite literally camp outside that home for a week and see what happens? How does it work?
Well, I don't know about a week, because we probably would be charging a fortune if we spent a week's time in actually sitting out there. We'd more or less split it into three. One part is some background research, looking into facts and figures and statistics and so forth, a lot of which you can get yourself and some of which we've got separate access to. The second thing is what you just say, is keeping an eye open and having a watch and look. At the third and most important is getting in and asking people.
See, I'm interested in your facts and figures here. How many people come to you to investigate a neighbour, and then after your work, they don't buy that property? Have you got facts and figures on that?
I haven't got in my hand, but it's a very small minority. I mean, for most people, it's peace of mind. I mean, quite often, very typical client might be somebody who's moving mum into a different area. Because sort of sadly dad's passed away and they're downgrading the house and so forth. And of course, you don't quite know the area and exactly what something is going to be like. We also do this for quite a few clients who are moving into the country. We had somebody in Boston, in Massachusetts, who had quite a nice lifestyle. And the area that they picked to live in England, I wouldn't say where it was, but it wasn't sort of terribly nice. And it's just kind of getting that information across to somebody.
So what's the worst case that you've come across? Obviously, we're not talking about locations here, but what's the worst case that you've seen in your time as a private investigator?
Well, I mean, we've had some dramas, but I think the one that did really stick in my mind was this, and this was somebody who was moving mum, sort of relocating the parent. And not saying that they wanted someone necessarily quiet, but they needed to know it was safe and secure and she wasn't going to be worried and so forth. And there was this really, really nice block of flats, which looked that way from the outside. And if you went and looked at it and heard about it, it was a perfectly nice area. 10 o'clock on a Friday night, there was somebody right living on the top level, about one floor above where our client was going to be living. And she'd have a row with a boyfriend. And the boyfriend would storm out, come downstairs, and they continue this row across the balcony, sort of from upstairs down to the downstairs, right across. And then something came flying out over the balcony, which we saw, which was being thrown at him. He crashed his car on the way out and sort of hit a post and so forth. And then when you actually talk to somebody, you found out this happened every Friday evening. It was because probably, it could almost set your alarm by. They will have this storming great row. But people were scared and quite intimidated by them.
Very interesting. Just finally, Nigel, what gave you the inspiration behind this business? Because this is the type of job that you can't walk into a job centre and see advertised. So what made you want to do this?
What, the whole thing?
Yeah.
The neighbour issue? The whole thing, it's a passion. I mean, I fell into it a little bit by accident, as so did most of my colleagues. But when people join us, they tend to stay, and we can never get rid of them. They're here with us for years. People just love the passion of the whole thing. We go to work for fun.
Yeah, it certainly sounds fun, especially on a Friday night at that house. Nigel, thanks for your time this morning. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Justin.
Very, very interesting. That's Nigel Parsons. He's from the Answers Investigation. They are a private detective agency, and they check out potential neighbours for people, and they've got an office in Watford. So, quite shocking figures here. 360,000 people have been forced to move out of their home in the last year because of irritating neighbours. So, has that ever happened to you? Have you ever had to move out of your home because of the neighbours? And be completely honest, but what about great neighbours? I'm not hearing many stories today of great neighbours. I said earlier on, at 6:05, I've always been very, very lucky. I've got great neighbours either side of me. But is that a rarity here in the three counties? If you have got great neighbours, again, I'd like to hear from you. The phone lines are open, 08459 455 555. Whether you've got a good or a bad story, share that between now and 9.
Saturday from 2, Three Counties Sport with